Good morning, Wright State University, and welcome to the Wright Morning Show on WWSU. Start your day the right way with us. We will be covering current events in the news, local, national, and from Wright State. We will provide a daily dose of inspiration and positivity to lighten your day. And we will have a special feature depending on the day of the week. So grab your tea or your coffee, sit back, relax, and enjoy the Wright Morning Show. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Wright Morning Show on WWSU 106.9 FM. It is Friday, November 19th, 2021. Apologies for not being here yesterday. Had a little bit of a setback and wasn't able to make it into the studio in the morning. But we are here, and I am joined this morning by the one and only Harmony on the phone line. How are you doing?
Doing all right. Hanging in there. Good morning.
Awesome. And we're also joined by the one and only Laughing Chipmunk through Discord. How are you doing this morning?
More like coughing chipmunk.
Yeah, choking chipmunk. I know the feeling. It's like my morning ritual used to consist of meditation and prayer. Now it consists of an additional coughing, hacking, and spitting into the trash can.
Oof.
Yeah. That's how I'm doing. Yeah.
It's good to hear that the two of you are overcoming COVID, though. So that's the plus side.
I mean, the testing negative was, real fast for me, but oh my gosh, the after effects, the coughing and the I still feel like I have a permanent cold.
Yeah.
I don't know how long that's gonna last, but
For a while. I still can't smell sometimes very well. It's an off and on thing. And then, like, the taste, I can kind of sort of taste something sometimes, but sometimes not.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
Oof.
And, the letters from the Department of Health telling you to stay indoors. Really? We know you have COVID. Stay in your home. Well, no kidding. Like, I'm going to go breathe on somebody, really?
I mean, to be fair, there's been incidents of people going out on I don't know if you remember this, but I think it was about a year or so ago. There was a lady who had COVID and intentionally coughed all over a bus driver, gave them COVID, and I can't remember if it was the bus driver or a member of the bus driver's family passed away because of that.
Yeah.
I think it was the driver that passed away.
Yeah, so
I'm pretty sure. Yeah,
it's really nasty. That's just evil incarnate. I'm sorry, but people shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get into our current events for this morning. First off, we're going to start off with WHIO Radio. A $9.5 million athletic and education center is planned in Fairborn for underprivileged youth. Dayton-based nonprofit 937 Hoop Dreams is seeking funding to help fund the construction of a $9.5 million recreation and education center in Fairborn. It would have basketball courts, soccer and baseball fields, and other features. The 43,000 square foot facility would include 5 full-size basketball courts, 2 classrooms, a fitness gym, a barber shop, 2 batting cages, and 4 soccer and baseball fields, according to an application filed with the Dayton Development Coalition. It is well documented that many disadvantaged students in urban and rural environments lack the day-to-day experiences that stimulate their intellectual development, 937 Hoop Dreams said in their application. After-school opportunities have positive effects on academic success, social behavior, and provide opportunities for enrichment for at-risk students. You could check more information out about this project and the organization behind it by going to WHIO.com. Dayton Daily News has an article. Former Dayton School Superintendent James Williams passed away, unfortunately, so give our condolences to him and his family. You can read more about that at Dayton Daily News. WHIO. Acting Greene County Sheriff appointed and sworn in. Chief Deputy Scott Enger has been appointed to acting sheriff in Greene County. Greene County Commissioners voted on the appointment on Thursday. Enger was sworn in by Judge Adolfo A. Tornicchio. The move comes after the unexpected passing of Sheriff Gene Fisher, who died following a medical emergency Tuesday night while he was attending a conference in Sandusky. Greene County Administrator Brandon Huddleston said the Greene County Republican Party's Central Committee now has 45 days to either appoint Enger or another person as sheriff. The Republican Party is involved because Fisher ran as a Republican when he was last elected in November 2020. You can read more at WHIO.com. Dayton Daily News has an article. Wayne Avenue Kroger property is being sold for $1.75 million. Check that out at Dayton Daily News. From WDTN, this is Justin. Santa arrives at the Fairfield Mall today. Santa is coming to the Fairfield Commons tonight. The holiday season kicks off at 6 p.m. with a wreath lighting, which will include a reindeer petting zoo, desserts, balloon animals, and giveaways. A photo with Santa is available beginning tonight and running through December 24th. Hours to get your memorable photo include Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday from 12 to 7 p.m., and Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. According to the mall at Fairfield Commons, walk-ins are welcome, but you can also reserve your spot online by going to reservations.cherryhillprograms.com. There is a direct link to the reservation on WDTN.com. From WHIO, the Dayton Air Show aims to build new parking area after a recent parking concerns. The Cedar Point Energy Dayton Air Show is hoping to acquire land that would allow the air show to build a new parking lot for visitors to the annual event. We've experienced flooded lots in past years, which has significantly impacted our show as we've had to implement remote parking. Remote parking significantly increased our costs because we have to shuttle everyone, the Dayton Air Show wrote in an application to the Dayton Development Coalition. It also has a negative impact on the local economy because people are unable to attend the show and cannot spend time in the local community due to traffic delays. The air show estimates it will need about $606,000 to acquire the land needed to build the new parking lot. The new lot will keep the air show in the community to continue to have a significant economic impact on the local community, the Dayton Air Show added. You can read more at WHIO.com. Dayton Daily News has an article, Massive Mendelssohn's Building to Become Apartments, Offices, and Retail Space. MostMetro.com has an article. Actually, it's an advertisement, so we're going to skip that because we are a nonprofit radio station. Dayton Business Journal has an article on the Dayton's largest engineering firm, HEPE, who is adding to C-Suite. MostMetro.com nominate a local educator who uses nature as a classroom. Give us a second here. All right, Five Rivers Metro Parks is accepting nominations for its 7th annual Outstanding Teacher Award. open to Dayton area classroom educators who teach any subject from pre-K through high school. Nominations are due January 31st, 2022. A winner will be selected from each of the following categories: Rising Star, which is less than 10 years of teaching experience; Leader, 10 to 20 years of teaching experience; and Lifetime Achievement, more than 20 years of teaching experience. During these unprecedented times, nature is integral for mental and physical wellness, and also a perfect venue for students to safely learn about our world, said Metro Parks Education Coordinator Joshua York. We have amazing teachers in the greater Dayton region who have recognized the power of hands-on learning with nature. This award brings the recognition they deserve and spreads awareness of their good work throughout their school and community. Awardees will be announced and celebrated during the Miami Valley Leave No Child Inside Summit this spring. Winning teachers will also receive an award package containing outdoor educational materials to assist in connecting students to the environment, and a plant kit with plants selected for the winning teacher's school, an EECO, Environmental Education Council of Ohio membership, and money to use towards the 101 conference at Camp Kern, held annually the first weekend of October, and a 1-year membership to the James M. Cox Jr. Arboretum Foundation and transportation for their class for a field trip to Cox Arboretum Metro Park, or alternative if an in-person field trip is not an option. Side note, the Cox Arboretum is a really cool place to check out, so be sure to check that out if you haven't already. You can read more about this award nomination at mostmetro.com. From WHIO, Kettering Health is opening a hybrid operating room at Dayton Hospital. Kettering Health is expanding access to heart and vascular care at one of their area medical centers. The health network announced the opening of a hybrid operating room at Kettering Health Dayton, formerly Grandview Medical Center. In a release, the Kettering Health spokesperson said that the hybrid operating room functions like a surgical suite with integrated radiology imaging and allows surgeons to have immediate access to high-tech tools without having to move patients. By adding this hybrid suite to Grandview Medical Center, we're ensuring people in our community have access to high-quality surgical care, Carol Pierce, Administrative Director of Nursing at Kettering Health Dayton, said. According to a release, the expansion for the OR included 17 pre- and post-operative beds. The nearly 7,300 square foot, $7.2 million expansion opened on November 16. From mostmetro.com, Co-op Dayton was awarded the Jmk Innovation Prize, which is $175,000 in total. Since 2015, the J.M. Kaplan Fund has reached across America to identify and elevate early-stage projects with transformative potential in the fields of social justice, the environment, and heritage conservation. The fourth cycle of the prize was launched in January 2021 as the country was reeling from a pandemic and grappling with racial and political tensions, and by April received a record 2,826 applications from all 50 states, as well as numerous territories and tribal nations. The fund announced the 2021 Jmk Innovation Prize awardees, 10 exceptionally promising visionary organizations that are tackling America's most pressing challenges while building community and collective power. Each winner will receive up to $175,000 over 3 years and join a resource collaborative of fellow innovators designed to support their journey as change agents. Let me see if I can access the awardees for 2021. Okay, yeah, the awardees are Gia Abdo from Every Campus A Refuge in North Carolina. We have Daniel Bougre, Udell, and Kristen Techernishoff. I apologize if I'm saying that name incorrectly. from Wikitongues, New York. Ben Christensen and Marissa Repka from Cambium Carbon, District of Columbia. Esperanza Dillard and Talila T.L. Lewis from Herd, which operates nationwide. Shelley Halstead from Black Women Build in Baltimore, Maryland. Layla Klein and Amaha Selassie from Co-op Dayton. Ariel Corin and Fernanda de Oliveira Silva from Respond Crisis Translation in California, operating globally. Brittany Coteles from Nuns and Nuns in Wisconsin. Mike Milton from Freedom Community Center in Missouri. And Sarah Sindiha and Brandon Smith from Forestry and Fire Recruitment Program in California. You can read more about those at jmkfund.org, as well as the article itself from mostmetro.com. All right, here's your local weather forecast at Wright State University, brought to you by tomorrow.io. The current weather is clear and 32 degrees. The wind is coming from the west at 6 miles per hour. The relative humidity is 61%. The barometric pressure is 30.52 inches of mercury. The visibility is 10 miles. Air quality is moderate, and there is currently no UV index. Your 12-hour forecast calls for clear skies up until 2:30 p.m., and then some clouds are going to roll in until about 7 p.m. before clearing away. Temperatures are going to peak at 40 degrees at 3 p.m. and then start cooling off after that. Your extended weather forecast, brought to you by the National Weather Service at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, is the following. Today, sunny, high in the lower 40s. Tonight, partly cloudy, low in the upper 20s. Saturday, partly sunny, high around 50. Saturday night, a slight chance of showers in the evening, and then rain likely overnight, low around 40. Sunday, periods of rain, high around 50. Sunday night, a chance of rain in the evening, otherwise mostly cloudy overnight, low in the mid-20s. Monday, partly sunny, high in the mid-30s. Monday night, partly cloudy, low in the lower 20s. And finally, Tuesday, sunny, high around 40. And now time for global and national news. First off, the morning edition of the New York Times. The U.S. may soon offer booster shots to every adult. The federal government's guidance on COVID booster shots has often been confusing, but it looks as if it's about to become much simpler. The FDA appears to be on the verge of authorizing Moderna and Pfizer booster shots for all adults in the United States. If it does, anyone over 18 can get a booster as long as it's been at least 6 months since their last shot. The CDC has said that adults who received the one-dose Johnson & Johnson vaccine should get a booster at least 2 months later. Dr. Anthony Fauci has become a very, very relentless advocate for boosters. The Times' Sharon Lafreniere, who covers the federal government's response to the pandemic, told the New York Times. He keeps pointing out that the data is getting stronger. Today, NYT will walk you through what's compelling regulators to widen eligibility, who needs the shots most, and how to get one. And you could check that out at the New York Times Morning Edition. They cover why you should get a booster shot now, who should get one, how to get one, and if it is ethical. Here are some other headlines for today from the New York Times. The first known COVID patient was a vendor at a Wuhan animal market, not an accountant who lived miles from it, according to a scientist. Austria is the first EU country to announce a national vaccine mandate. House Democrats delayed a vote on the $1.85 trillion spending bill after Representative Kevin McCarthy prolonged the debate with an hours-long speech. The Congressional Budget Office said that the bill would slightly add to the deficit. Belarus cleared the migrants camped at its main border crossing with Poland, but gave no indication about where they would go next. The Chinese tennis star Peng Shuai disappeared from public view after accusing a former government official of sexual assault. That's concerning. Oklahoma's governor granted clemency to a death row inmate hours before his execution. The jury in the Kyle Rittenhouse case has deliberated for 23 hours so far. The FBI kept information about the assassination of Malcolm X from investigators, according to documents from that time. Shohei Ohtani, the home run swatting Los Angeles Angels pitcher, won the American League MVP award. Philadelphia's Bryce Harper won the National League award. The Latin Grammy Awards named the Cuban protest anthem Patria y Vida, or Homeland and Life, Song of the Year. And now from Cheddar News Need to Know. Washington Post. Jurors in the Kyle Rittenhouse trial will resume deliberations this morning, having now gone 23 hours and counting without delivering a verdict in the highly charged murder case. 5 public schools that are near the courthouse in Kenosha have moved to virtual classes in anticipation of unrest when a verdict is reached. The judge in the case has banned MSNBC from the courtroom after a freelance producer for the network was pulled over for running a red light while following the jury van. NBC says the producer never intended to contact jurors. From CNN, in Georgia, closing arguments are set to begin on Monday in the trial over the killing of Ahmaud Arbery. The defense has rested its case after it gambled by putting Travis McMichael, the man who shot Arbery, on the stand. McMichael admitted under cross-examination that Arbery did not speak or threaten him in any way before McMichael shot him. From Politico, the House plans to vote on President Biden's $1.7 trillion social spending and climate change bill today after the first attempts at a vote were delayed when the minority leader, Representative Kevin McCarthy, held up the floor with an 8-hour speech, blasting Biden's agenda. McCarthy broke the record for the longest floor speech in the history of the House, previously held by Speaker Pelosi. But still, Democrats think they have the votes needed to send the bill to the Senate after a cost estimate eased the concern of some centrist holdouts. From the New York Times, a comprehensive new study on the origins of the coronavirus theorizes that the virus did, in fact, start at the infamous Wuhan wet market. Dr. Michael Worobey, a scientist from the University of Arizona, who traces the evolution of viruses, has published his analysis in the prestigious journal Science. Worobey's study suggests that the first known person who contracted COVID was a seafood vendor named Wei Guixian, who worked at the market. That would conflict with the lab leak theory as well as the World Health Organization's official theory that patient zero was an accountant who had no connection to either the lab or the market. From the Oklahoman, Oklahoma Governor Kevin Stitt has granted clemency to the inmate Julius Jones, commuting his death sentence to life without parole just hours before Jones was scheduled to be executed. Jones was convicted of a 1999 murder and has maintained his innocence throughout his 20 years on death row, as his case drew attention from celebrities and other advocates. Oklahoma's parole board had recommended that Jones' death sentence be commuted to life without the possibility of parole, so the governor's decision means he will be spared death, but will likely remain behind bars for the rest of his life. Jones' lawyers had filed a last-ditch motion to stay the execution after another Oklahoma death row inmate convulsed and vomited during his lethal injection. From The Verge, Apple is the latest big company to bump back its return to office once again. Apple employees are being told to report back to the office on February 1st, at which point they will start a hybrid model that includes 4 weeks a year to work remotely. Meanwhile, New York Governor Kathy Hochul is calling for workers in New York City to go back in the new year, saying the Big Apple's office buildings are still too empty. From the Wall Street Journal, the latest victim of the global semiconductor shortage is heated seats and steering wheels, which are no longer included on new Chevy models due to the lack of chips that make those features work. Now, Chevy parent GM and its Detroit rival Ford are looking to take matters into their own hands. Both companies have announced separate partnerships with chip makers intended to boost supply and strengthen supply chains, especially as newer cars are needed even more of those chips to run. GM will co-develop chips with a handful of companies, while Ford is partnering with an American chip maker to eventually bring the entire design and manufacturing process entirely in-house. From ESPN, the New England Patriots shut out the Atlanta Falcons on Thursday Night Football 25-0 for the team's fifth consecutive win. Mac Jones is proving himself as the most successful quarterback of the stacked 2021 draft class, having become just the third rookie quarterback in NFL history to win his first 5 starts on the road. From the BBC, if last weekend belonged to Taylor Swift, this weekend is all Adele. The singer's hugely anticipated album, 30, dropped overnight on streaming services, and the first reviews call it a masterpiece of heartbreak and honesty from an artist at the top of her game. Adele has been making the media rounds all week, opening up about everything from her divorce to postpartum depression and body image issues. A vandal in Washington, D.C. acted out of a revenge fantasy familiar to anyone who's had a philandering ex. The problem is, they got back at the wrong person. Oof. Police are looking for whomever spray painted Mike as a cheater all over a red SUV in Northwest D.C., smashing the front and back windshields and snapping off the mirrors for good measure. But the owner of the SUV is a woman named Nedra, who most certainly is not the Mike in question and doesn't even know anyone named Mike.
Oops.
Whoops indeedy. All right, well, that concludes today's headlines. If you want to learn more about what's happening in the news, then stick around on WWSU Radio today at 10 a.m. for the Democracy Now! Podcast. But for the time being, we are going to take a quick break, and when we come back, daily dose of inspiration, and today's topic, how to give the perfect hug. So you're listening to the Rat Morning Show on WWSU 106.9.
You are now listening to WW.
And welcome back to the Right Morning Show on WWSU Radio. On today's Daily Dose of Inspiration, we're going to talk about the perfect hug from todayuknews.com. And according to them, the perfect hug lasts between 5 and 10 seconds. If you want to give the perfect hug, embrace your partner for somewhere between 5 and 10 seconds, and don't worry about arm position, according to a new study. Psychologists in London looked at how much pleasure volunteers got from engaging in hugs of different durations and orientations. Longer hugs between 5 and 10 seconds were more pleasant than very short hugs, such as 1 second long, that the experts found, but arm position didn't really seem to matter. Results suggest that special care should be taken to avoid extremely brief hugs, although the researchers don't know exactly when a hug becomes too long and awkward. The new study could help design more friendly robots, which have been evaluated less positively after hugs that are too short, they claim. Longer hugs, between 5 and 10 seconds, were more pleasant than very short hugs. So, tips for the perfect hug. Make it last between 5 and 10 seconds. Don't make the hug too short. 1 second hugs are not deemed very pleasant. Don't worry about arm position. Both crisscross and neck waist are good options. It's risky to hug for longer than 10 seconds, although further studies are needed to know exactly when hugs become too long. So the study was conducted by researchers at the Department of Psychology, Goldsmiths University of London. Hugging is one of the most common types of effective touch encountered in everyday life, they say in their new paper. But little is known about the factors that influence hugging evaluation and behavior. Here, we aim to assess how different hugs would be evaluated and whether they can affect mood. In the first experiment, 48 participants, all female, hugged an experimenter for either 1, 5, or 10 seconds in different hugging styles, both crisscross and neck waist. Crisscross has one person with their arm over one shoulder in the other in a diagonal orientation, while neck waist has huggers with their arms over or under the shoulders of their partner, usually parallel to the floor. Crisscross is arguably a closer, more intimate embrace that could precede a kiss, while neck waist is more formal. The participants were blindfolded to avoid visual feedback influencing touch perception. And after the hug, participants then reported how pleasant, arousing, and under control the contact felt. Crisscross hug and neck waist hug. Oh, that's a caption for a photo on the article. A hug on your left hand side is more heartfelt than one on the right, scientists reported in 2018. The researchers in Germany analyzed more than 2,000 embraces at an airport in both departures and arrivals and compared them to hugs between strangers. The study revealed that in less emotionally charged hugs, we lean to our right, while in more intense hugs, we swing to the left. It all boils down to our brain hemispheres, they said. The right side of the brain controls emotions, and the left side of the body, meaning a strong emotion drives us in that direction. Participants were asked about their mood immediately after each hug, and then again 3 minutes and 6 minutes after the hugs. Results indicated that hug duration can influence hug experience. 1 second hugs were rated as less pleasant and less under control than 5 second and 10 second hugs. Researchers also found that there was no difference in pleasantness ratings between 5 second hugs and 10 second hugs, suggesting there might be a plateau in that time frame. Participants indicated higher arousal immediately post-hug compared with 3 minutes and 6 minutes post-hug. But arm crossing had no or only a small effect on attractiveness and arousal, suggesting that where we put our arms really doesn't matter. This effectively rubbished the researchers' hypothesis prior to the experiments that crisscross hugs would be rated as more pleasant than neck waist hugs. And in the second experiment, researchers approached 206 people on Goldsmith's campus to share a hug with the person they were socializing with. After the hug, researchers asked the people to report emotional closeness to the other participant on the scale of 0 to 100. They also made a note of each person's arm crossing style and gender. Interestingly, crisscross hugs were the most common type of arm crossing style, and height difference did not significantly influence hugging style. This is surprising, in that a crisscross hug between two people with height differences is rather cumbersome, the experts say in their paper. The new study could help design more friendly robots, which have been evaluated less positively after hugs that are too short. Height difference and emotional closeness were not significantly linked to arm crossing style, but gender was. Crisscross hugs were more common between men than between women or mixed pairs, possibly as a sign of respect between two males, as crisscross hugs have previously been described as more egalitarian. The researchers say that further studies are needed to define when exactly hugs become too long, although a 2019 study involving robots suggested that hugging too long might have a good impression. The authors, based at the University of Pennsylvania, found robots were considered more social, caring, happy, and comforting after hugs that lasted too long compared to hugs that were lasting too short. Our findings on hug pleasure, aligned with research, indicate that robots are evaluated less positively after a too short hug compared to longer hugs. A hug really does make you feel better after an argument, according to a 2018 study. Holding hands also improves a person's mood after a conflict, and the effect lasted to the next day. Hello there, Nick King. So that was according to the authors at Carnegie Mellon University. Studying 400 people, the team found those who shared a hug with the person they fought with were less likely to harbor negative feelings in the hours and days after. This adds weight to other studies showing affectionate human touch has a calming effect on the nerves, they said. That's pretty interesting there. So hug out your conflicts. It could definitely be the difference between making or breaking your relationship. I also found it interesting that scientists are developing hugging robots. I don't know how I quite feel about that just yet. On one hand, I could see the benefit in having a hugging robot, especially for those who are lonely or otherwise do not have access to a social circle where they can get hugs. That is especially true considering the COVID pandemic that is happening and people socially isolating. But on the other hand, robots just don't have the warmth and the energy that other people do. You know, we as humans are social creatures, and we are designed and wired to have social interactions with other people. And that's kind of where hugging other people come into play. So it could go either way, I think. My views and opinions, of course, do not reflect the views and opinions of WWSU Radio, Wright State University, nor their entities. I'm going to turn it over now to Laughing Chipmunk and Harmony here. What do you think about these studies on hugs?
Pretty interesting, really.
Mm-hmm. I think Harmony had to step away for a moment.
I mean, I wouldn't mind, being in a little experiment like that.
Mm-hmm. So, out of curiosity, do you prefer crisscross hugs or neck and waist hugs?
I prefer with my friends, I prefer the crisscross hugs.
Mm-hmm.
With my husband, of course, it's a little bit more intimate, kind of hugging naturally.
There's a big height difference between the two of you too, so that's understandable.
Yeah, I mean, I'm only 5 foot and he's 6 foot, so I gotta,
Crisscrossing
you know,
can be a bit of a stretch, if you know what I mean.
I actually have to stand on my toes, to really hug him and kiss him.
hmm
But he's nice. He bends down a little bit, so I don't have to get on my tiptoes.
That's courteous of him. So
I
what would
mean, it's only a foot difference, but still,
only that's significant when it comes to hugging.
yeah. Well, I mean, you know me, a little 5 foot nothing, and
Yeah. So what would you say is the most ideal hug duration for you?
For me, well, like I said, it all depends on, like, the friendship, the type of friendship. Um, like if I'm hugging a friend, but they're not, my closest friend, then a few seconds is okay.
Mhm.
You know, like with Harmony, yeah, we could hug each other forever because we're best friends. We're so close.
Yes. Those
Those are the best hugs anyway.
Yeah.
And
Plus, I don't get to see
uh,
you all the time, so that's a big factor.
right.
Mhm.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And with acquaintances, people that, like I really don't know that well, a few seconds and, maybe a couple seconds and that's it, because it's like, okay, I'll hug you, but, don't hug me too long because I don't know you.
Yeah.
you know.
Mhm.
Um, and of course, with Rich, well, that's a whole different story.
Of course,
Um,
cuz he's your husband, so.
right. Yeah, yeah, Um,
I'm going to
well,
toss this out there just out of
oh,
curiosity.
okay.
What about animals? What would be the ideal duration of a hug with an animal in your opinion?
Forever.
Elmira.
Yes.
Or at least until they start getting squirmy and like cranky and want to jump down.
Yeah.
That too. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'll hug my cats as long as they want to be hugged, and then when they get squirmy, I'll let them go, but um as long as they're relaxed and everything, oh my gosh, I could just hold them for hours on end
hmm
and just be in heaven.
Mhm.
So yeah, forever.
I'm going to turn the mic now over to Harmony. So I think you had to step away, but from what you heard of these hug studies, what do you think?
Interesting. I never knew we could study hugs, but
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of hugs, of course, because it's, that's the one thing. And this is the one thing that was really crappy during the whole pandemic, which we're still going through sometimes, is the fact that we all need human contact. We have what we call touch needs that need to be met,
hmm
Mhm.
So it's like when you get a hug, it's just a really nice, warm, loving, melt into that person feeling.
hmm
And it shows that that person is showing their affection and they're caring for you, and in whatever sense that may be, whether it's, you're a couple or friends or, whatever the case may be. I do remember, however, many years ago, at our spiritual center, there was a beautiful lady by the name of Edith Lytle. God rest her soul. She's passed now.
hmm
But her big thing, when you were talking about how the right side of the brain is the emotion and it corresponds with the left where the heart is,
hmm
she would always, when she hugged everybody, it was heart to heart.
hmm
So her hand always was on like the back of your back where your heart would be located, and just, heart to heart, like the whole crisscross, but still a little bit different. But that was always her big signature hug. And then there was always somebody else that would cup kind of the top of your head, kind of at the crown chakra.
Mm-hmm.
And that was always a really nice hug as well. But, I feel like for the most part, we're all, if you don't want a hug or you don't like hugs or you don't like being touched, then there's definitely something going on there with some past traumas that people have incurred, or maybe they just don't like to be touched for whatever reason. But I would gander to say that the majority of people in the world love hugs or holding hands or just sitting next to each other, shoulder to shoulder, some form of closeness and affection. It kind of gives us that motivation to keep pushing through, pushing on, because it just makes you feel good.
Mm-hmm.
When you don't, they'd even said, I think, when babies are born, if you do not hug and love your children, it's like very detrimental to their emotional growth.
Yeah, it can hinder
if they
their
even
development.
survive, they can even die if you don't love and hug them.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely, there's definitely a lot to a hug. Very simple little thing, but very profoundly important in all of our lives.
So the primary reason that they studied hugs was to further the advancement of something called hug robots, which are basically robots that were designed for people to hug, especially in these times of the COVID pandemic where we don't really get out and have that ability to get out and hug people. So what do you think about hug robots?
Well, it depends. It would depend. If it feels like a person and would be able to give you the same thing, which I'm sorry, I don't necessarily feel that it would. I don't feel like anything can replace a human hug.
Mm-hmm.
Or a snuggly furry,
I agree.
or a snuggly furry hug, because I don't know. This is where we get into the waters of spirituality.
Yeah.
Robots don't have a soul.
They don't have a heart. They don't have
that genuine feeling and emotion. It's keyed in. It's programmed.
Yeah.
But then again, we're keyed in and programmed to certain things too. But there's that living life essence, that's within us all that the robot does not have. So the sentiment and the value is just, I would imagine it would work for some people just because they need some form of touch regardless of what it would be,
Mm-hmm.
much like maybe grabbing a teddy bear or a stuffed animal or something like that.
Yeah.
But I feel like people want a little more of a human design, and maybe that's why the robots have come into play. Because if they're doing like AIs, they're going to be more human-like. Maybe some people that would work for them, but then there's other people, I would say like myself, that I don't really feel that would work for me very well.
Yeah. I don't think it would work for me either, because I would, just the fact that, I know it's an AI and not a human.
And it doesn't know you.
And yeah,
it doesn't
know me.
Yeah, it's like when you get a hug from someone that knows you, or even just a hug from somebody that's maybe met you for maybe just a few minutes, like we used to hug at our spiritual center like long time ago. Since it's changed, of course. But even if it was just a brief hug with a stranger, it was just like, wow, cool, new person, great hug. There's just something about it. It's like spark.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you're giving love and affection, to somebody that you don't know. And maybe you're making their day in a way. You never know.
Yeah.
You never know.
Oh, I also want to mention another kind of one of my favorite hugs is from Triple P, too.
I don't even really pay attention to the kind of hug that I give. I'm not very conscious of that.
Yeah. Well, I get the Triple P half hug or the little punch on the shoulder, but that's okay by me.
I do most of the hugging. when it comes to Triple P, because it's like, well, you know, he's my offspring and I miss him and I don't get to see him that much.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right. We are going to take a quick break on the radio show, and when we come back, Freaky Friday. So we're going to see if we can find some Florida man or other crazy stories to
Well, we
give us
got
a
some
little laugh.
harmony. We got some harmony woman. I'll share a Freaky Friday with you.
Ooh, you got a funny
cool.
story?
Yeah, I got a cool story from about a week ago.
Ooh, all right. Well, everybody stick around. We're going to take a quick break and get into Freaky Friday just momentarily on the Right Morning Show. Stick around.
You are now listening to WWSU.
Welcome back to the Right Morning Show on WWSU 106.9 FM. It is time for Freaky Friday, and I'm going to turn it over first to Harmony to have her tell us the freaky story that's happened.
Yeah, this is interesting. I know Chipmunk doesn't know about it. I don't think I told you about it. But last Friday, due to my COVID, I was taking a nice hot shower. And, then we always get done, and then you're going to dry the hair, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, my hair gets kind of dry after I keep it up in a towel for a short, but yet remains kind of damp. So I went into the bathroom to blow dry my hair, flip on my hair dryer, and I'm like drying my hair like I always do, right? And all of a sudden, I'm smelling something funky. I'm like, what the hell is that smell? It's like, I don't even know. So all of a sudden, all 3 fire alarms trip off, and I look down.
No.
Yeah, and I look down at my hair dryer, and it's on fire.
Oh, no.
Yeah, the nozzle where the vent is, there's like flames shooting out of this thing, which obviously were shooting onto my hair, burning my hair. Yeah, so I'm like smelling hair, and I'm like, this is really bad because since I've had COVID, I can't really smell too well. And
yeah.
I was like turning around, I'm like, oh, holy crap. So I unplugged it, I threw it in the sink, it settled itself down. But it was just really freaky. I'm like, oh my God, because I didn't notice. I'm just like standing there drying my hair like I always do. But evidently I'm drying my hair while flames are shooting up my hairdryer.
Oh my gosh.
I eventually took it to the back patio, and it remains there since last Friday. So it is still on my patio, and I am hairdryerless, but that's okay, and I still have hair, so that's a good thing. Luckily, like I said, it was still damp, so not much damage was done to my hair, thank goodness. But yeah, between the smell and tripping off the alarms, and then I opened up the bathroom door that leads into the master, and I'm like, Nick, turn the fire alarms off. He's like, I thought I turned the oven off. I'm like, no, my hair's burning. So I told him when it happened, and he was like, oh my God. So that was my freaky Friday. That was on a Friday. Yes. And the day before, I'd
Oh,
accidentally
man.
caught a Kleenex on fire. I laid it on the table and didn't
geez.
realize I accidentally laid it on top of my tea candle. So I had to pick it up off the table very carefully and throw it into the kitchen sink, and it went up like crazy. So, yeah, it's not a good day for fire at Harmony's house.
I'm glad you're
Wow.
okay, though.
Yeah.
You and me both. But, yep, there's your Freaky Friday in Ohio, folks.
All right, I got a Florida man story for you.
Uh-oh,
Get
look
ready
out.
for this one.
Okay.
This is from WKRG. A Florida man humps a dog and then attacks the owner when confronted.
Ew.
A Milton man has been arrested after a fight that allegedly started when the man was caught humping someone's dog, according to the arrest report.
Oh, God.
John Miller, 33, is charged with domestic violence, battery, domestic violence, aggravated assault, and criminal mischief. Miller was caught humping a dog, and when the owner confronted him, he said Miller attacked him, punching him in the head and upper body, leaving red marks and cuts, according to the Santa Rosa County Sheriff's Office. The victim said Miller destroyed items in the house and the garage door. He said Miller also grabbed a knife, threatening to kill him, leaving him in fear of his and his mother's life. Miller is at the Santa Rosa County Jail with a $7,000 bond. Wow.
That's all?
Yeah.
I think we should have made it a little bit more than that.
Yeah.
That's only
yeah.
$700 to get him out of the bail bondsman's office. That's a little too low.
I think it was 7,000. If I meant 700, I meant 7,000.
Oh no, you said 7,000, but if you go do the bail bondsman, it's only a partial of that, which would be about $700.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, let's see here. We got another Florida man story who beat and stabbed a dog. That's not funny at all, so I'm going to skip
Ew.
that one. But if you want to read that, it's on Yahoo News. That is unfortunate. Just don't attack dogs. That's low. That's very low.
Don't hump your dog. That's just gross.
Don't hump your dog either.
Ew.
Let's see if we can find anything else. We got a Florida man who engaged in COVID relief fraud.
That's not funny.
Yeah, that's happened quite a few times ever since the COVID pandemic has started, which is unfortunate. Let's see here. A lot of these are dark. Another Florida man serving 45 years in prison for running over 2 children.
Oh, for God's sake. What if you check into weird, crazy news? Funny news, humorous news.
Let's see if we could find something here.
No doubt.
Here we go. Trespassed and sipping beer from a juice bottle. Man tells police his thoughts. Sitting in front of a business in 1200 block of 45th Street in Palm Beach, Florida, a man was seen sipping from an orange juice bottle. Though the bottle did likely contain orange juice at some point, it was now housing what deputies suspected was beer and no longer providing vitamins and minerals to the consumer. Violating liquor laws and with the trespass warning in place for the area, the man informed deputies that he did not give a bleep. He was arrested and later transported to jail. Interesting.
Beer has vitamins and minerals. The hops are good for you, and the barley. Should have put vodka in there. Would have been better with the orange juice.
Let's see here. Wallet weasel. This ought to be interesting. After entering a store in the 6800 block of Okeechobee Boulevard, a woman threw caution to the wind as she set her open purse in a cart and began shopping. Her grocery gathering excursion took a turn for the worse after a man reached into her purse while she wasn't looking and stole her wallet. The entire incident was caught on surveillance. Perpetrator was clearly seen, and in addition to providing a physical description, the report said he was carrying a merce. Though this is sometimes used to describe a male nurse, in this instance it was to describe a male purse. After the theft, the man, his merce, and the woman's wallet left the store. The woman had $2,500 in cash in the wallet, as well as various credit cards and other items. Folks, don't carry that much cash in your wallet.
No doubt. That's what debit cards are for.
They say, I think about $10 is the maximum that you should carry in a wallet, somewhere around there. Interesting. So, unfortunately, we are out of time, so we're going to go ahead and wrap up the morning show here. Unfortunately, not much in the way of weird news happening today. Lots of dark news, that's for sure.
We'll have to find out where Don Smith gets his feast of news from.
I hear he gets a lot from Yahoo News, so I might have to check that out and see if Yahoo News has anything weird. I'm also going to have to try and contact him, see if we could get him on the show again.
No doubt. See what he's up to.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for tuning in to the Rat Morning Show. We are here every Tuesday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. on WWSU Radio. We may be coming back on Mondays, so stick around to learn more about that. Coming up next is Democracy Now! With Amy Goodman and Juan Gonzalez. Get the latest current news and events, as well as special guest interviews. 2 to 3 p.m. is Parker Testa with The Perspective. Get some latest sports news coverage. From 4 to 5:30, we have Anna Jones and Dylan Collison, who is going to do the hotspot. They're going to be bringing in special guests to ask them questions. And then finally, from 9 to 11 p.m., it's the K-Dean Boogeyman and K-Dean Vibe Show. So get up.
You must listen. You must listen.
Yes. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you back next week. Take care.
Hi, I'm Rianne. You're listening to